Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to KHM Today, your weekly go-to resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and you guys, today is our 49th episode. Would you believe it? We're going to celebrate our 50th on January 5th, 2022. I can't even believe it. We will not be here next week. Just so you guys know, we're going to be taking some time off to visit with family and friends. So we will miss you. But on January 5th, we hope you will come back and join us for our second year of the show. So as you guys know, my birthday was 2 weeks ago, and I received the most amazing gift from some very special people in my life. They love to watch the show on YouTube, and they gave me the best present. They're huge fans of Princess Cruise Line, and they watched the show with John Chernesky where we talked about his bobblehead and his Muppet. And so to maybe help me compete with John, they couldn't get me a Muppet because that doesn't seem to exist anymore, but I did get my own bobblehead. So I really think it's fantastic, and it's going to go right on the shelf here. And so that you guys can all see it in the background, my stockings are starting to fall down, and you'll get to see it each week. But it's the coolest thing in the world to me. So thank you, my aunt and uncle. Let's thank all of our sponsors this week before we get started. A huge thank you to our show sponsor, Apple Leisure Group, and our segment sponsors, Travel Impressions, Blue Sky Tours, Celebrity Cruise Line, Norwegian Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, Delta Vacations, and Oceana Cruises. So we thank them for their partnership, and we're going to have new partners in 2022. Let's get started. You guys, this next segment I'm so excited about because these two people have done this. I'm not on board with this yet. I feel like I need to get on board with this. So please welcome Emily Bookie and Matt Walgren. Matt is part of the education team here at KHM Travel Group, and Emily is one of our pinnacle agents. Hi, you guys.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm so excited that you're both here because I know Matt has been talking about this for several months, and I feel like I need to get on this bandwagon of having an assistant. So can you guys, Emily, let's start with you. You have an actual in-person assistant.
I do.
When did you decide this was necessary, and why is an actual person the best fit for you?
For me, having an actual person is someone that I can call if I have an emergency when I'm out of the country. We text back and forth all the time. Like, I know this person, I trust this person, and she has a background in travel after working with me as one of my agents as well. So it was really important to me that I trusted this person with what I was giving her to do.
And so what sort of tasks are you giving? Is it details of a booking or entry into the CRM? Is it that when I'm gone, my clients can call you sort of thing?
All of the above. So she starts from the very beginning. I send her my bookings right after I make them, and she goes in and assigns their seats. She enters in their frequent flyer numbers. She enters it into the CRM, does the payments, adds the extensions. And then, like, recently, she's been emailing my clients and telling them, or just reminding them, go through your documents, make sure that you are aware of all of the protocols that they're already aware of, but reminding them, these are the forms that you need to complete. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. These are the forms that you need to complete, and keep, like, introducing herself basically to them. Recently, Blue Diamond changed their policies, so everybody's charged for testing. So she's been emailing my clients and saying, you're going to be charged for testing now. Here's the prices for quarantine. So now I'm trying to make sure that my clients know who she is as well, besides just me. And I ended up bringing on her last year, I think, officially. When I hit over $1 million in sales, I wasn't able to do it all on my own. So she does all of that right now.
And so how much is it where you're like, okay, it's a Monday and you're preparing and you're saying, here's the list of all the things I need you to do? Or does this person just happen to be a go-getter and she's like, you know what, today I know I have to do A, B, and C? Do you have to provide a ton of guidance at this point?
No, so actually she has to provide the guidance to me. Like she will say yesterday, I think it was Monday or Sunday, and she said, we need to have a meeting this week. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. But then I'm flying all over the place. And so she actually keeps me accountable, and she will say, okay, we need to do this. We need to chat about this. Like these are the things that I'm working on today. This is what I'm going to work on later this week. She'll send me, you have these final payments that are due and they're big. So make sure even though they're getting your final payment is due soon through the CRM extensions, she's keeping me on top of that because my head is just so full that I'm not thinking about all of these things.
I love the balance of that. And it seems like, do you feel like she fills in the blanks? Like I've always heard, and Matt, we've talked about this, like have someone do the things that you're not good at or the things that you don't like to do. Is that where she fills in for you? Or is it really just like you like to do it all? Time is a factor.
Time is the factor. I think I realized last year I sat down and had like $500,000 in sales that were not entered into the CRM. And thank God for the commissions department because they started emailing me saying, you have a ton of bookings that are not entered. But it was I was so focused on making the bookings that I wasn't even concerned about getting paid apparently. So finally, like I was like, this is it. I mean, I have this stack of bookings that aren't even entered because I don't have time for that, but I'm making the bookings. So at that moment, I was like, all right, it's time to have someone. So it's time that is the factor for me. I'll do it. And when I'm bored, like she'll actually yell at me, like, why did you enter those bookings in? Well, because I was bored for like 5 minutes and I don't know what to do with myself if I'm bored for 5 minutes. One day I was texting her and I was saying, she was like, you're right. You really need something to do because you're annoying me. Like, I don't do well.
You're getting in my business.
Yeah, you're getting in my business. You're right. You need a task. Here, do that. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Matt, you have gone the virtual route for many years, and I know you're starting to convert a little bit. Talk about the virtual route and why that's worked for you.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of systems I have in place, automation, and then a virtual assistant for things that can't be automated. The reason why I went to the virtual assistant is because I did have in-person assistant that would do some hours for me, mostly just database entry, but they couldn't do the full gamut of things that I wanted them to do. So I found this service called Task Bullet, and I have a bunch of virtual assistants with them, and they all draw from a bucket of hours, kind of like those cell phone plans. Remember in the 90s or something, you had to top up your minutes and do all that. It's kind of like that. You buy a bucket of hours, and you dole those hours out to whatever virtual assistant they have that that has the skill that you need. So I have one main project manager. She's with me the whole time. Then I have one main virtual assistant who can do most of my tasks, which are managing my website and social media is largely what she does. And then I have another one who's really good with data. If I have like data things that I need to do, data entry or just manipulating data and doing Excel stuff, she can do that. I've had one in the past for doing telemarketing. And then now the one I'm most excited about, because I don't often have times to like write my own blogs. I have ideas, but I don't know how to write them. So now I've got a copywriter with them too, who we work on ideas together, and then she writes it, I'll tweak it and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I went that route. One person, I didn't have one person that could do everything. The other thing is, in person, I was paying someone $20 an hour, but with this Task Bullet, I think it's like $9 an hour that I pay. So it saves some money too.
Mm-hmm. At what point do you think someone's ready for this in their business? Because I think it's important when someone's new that they really do a lot of this on their own. There is something to be said for getting someone to do pieces that you're not good at. But especially if it comes to websites or social media or whatever. But at what point do you feel like an agent is to that point where they can justify spending that money and having someone?
Yeah, I think there's a few keys, and one of them, Emily already said, your business is big enough, you just don't have time, right? So that's one. the other key is, for me, if you're doing stuff that you don't like, because I actually do have stuff, I don't like doing the database entry and all that stuff. I don't like doing social media. So I just give them a bunch of photos from my albums and they do it all for me. So, and I don't know that I'm good at it. I still don't know that I'm good at it even with the virtual assistant. I need to up my social media game. I know Emily's really good at it. I need to take a lesson from her, but I just don't enjoy the social media stuff. So that's part of it. And then I think the other part of it is based on what your goals are. So maybe you're not $1 million agency yet, but you want to be. And maybe you can't get there until you free up your capacity to be able to do those other activities to grow your business.
How do you both get over the territorial piece? I'm quite territorial, and if I'm going to make the mistake, I'd rather make the mistake and not have someone else make this mistake. So in my mind, and Matt, we've talked about this on our team calls before, like I would much rather hire someone to clean my house and give me that time to do the business piece, or, order my groceries online, things like that. Like get rid of that piece of life that's crazy and busy and focus on and do the business piece myself, because I'm so afraid of either directing someone else incorrectly. I just, I'm kind of a mama bear when it comes to my own stuff. How do you get past that?
Bill Coyle would be the first one to say that I have major problems relinquishing control. Like and I would work, I'm up every morning at 4 a.m. I get my workout in, and then I start working, and I will sometimes work until 11 p.m. But how much can a person honestly take on by themselves? So it was something that I didn't really want to do, but something that I had to do, like for my own well-being. I had to try to trust someone. And that is why I brought someone on who is a friend and knew the industry. So I wasn't having to teach that, to explain, this is how you go in and apply a payment, blah, 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 because I don't have time to do that. But it just became, this is a need versus a want. Like in order for me to get better in business, I have to take some things off of my plate, and I need to learn to trust other people, which, trust already is something that I have issues with. So to be able to bring someone into my business and to trust that they're going to, and she runs everything by me, so that I feel comfortable. But it's just something, if you need it bad enough, it's something that you have to do.
Yeah. Matt, how do you get over the trust with someone that you've never met and is like basically behind an email? Like, I feel like I could maybe get on board with the in-person because you get a feel for someone, but you can't get a real feel for someone who's virtual.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm the same as both of you. I want things done accurately. I want it done well. It's hard for me to relinquish control as well. What I've done, and with mine, it's different than Emily's. Emily's, the positive is she's got that person she trusts, she's in person, and she's probably not going anywhere. With my system, on average, I think I get a new virtual assistant, my main one, every 3 months, And so what I had to do is kind of tell them, okay, before you go, you have to train the new person because I don't have time to train them. So please record video, jot down the processes somewhere, and take care of that. I do have video calls. I just had a video call with one of my virtual assistants who's managing my marketing calendar yesterday. And so having that FaceTime is good as well. It builds that trust a little bit more. And then the other thing that I kind of had to get over was, okay, if they can just get me 90% there with what I'm asking them to do, I am fine with going in and filling in the rest of the 10%. If they do that copywriting for me and it's about 90% there, I can fix it. If the social media, I go in every week and check my social media anyways, just to see what they're doing for the next week so I know. And I might change things here and there, but at least they've done 90% of the work for me. And that's what I've kind of settled on.
Okay. So our last question to both of you, if you were to pick like 3 characteristics that we should be looking for in either a virtual or an in-person, what would you say is most important?
I would say organized, efficient, and also outgoing, because if this person is going to be communicating back and forth with my clients, I need her to be like me.
I would say similar things, although they don't contact my clients. I'm kind of the face. but I would also add that they need to ask questions because oftentimes I've given them certain VAs, I've given them instructions, they go and do it. Well, maybe there was something missing that I should have given them that I didn't, and they need to ask me for that. You know, like, oh, well, you didn't say this or that. What's that? So I would say asking questions, checking their work. For me, I've had to tell them a lot because sometimes they'll update the website. It looks good in Weebly. That's the system I use. But when it's published, you go to the website and it looks like crap. So it's like, okay, after you publish it, go and look on the website to make sure it still looks good. So I'd say checking their work. I don't know if I can think of another third one at this time, but those are the two main ones for me in my model, I guess.
Okay. You guys, thank you so much for taking out the time this week. I know you're both super busy, but we appreciate it. And I'm getting on board with this idea. Who knows? 2022 life goals.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think I need to hire someone to clean my house first.
I did that as well. Anything you can take off your plate, do it.
Yes.
I would love a personal assistant. I mean, someone to pick up the dry cleaning, go grocery shopping for me. That's what I want next.
Matt, these are our goals in life.
Yep.
Everything.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a great week.
You too. Merry Christmas.
All right, you guys, please welcome LaDonna Allen, our national account manager for Princess Cruise Line. It's her first time at the show. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, look at you.
Absolutely,
so
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I see your medallion around your neck, which we're going to get to, of course. We're going to start with a fan favorite, though. We call it our lightning round, and we have not done one of these in a while. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and as quick as you can, just respond, okay? But they're nothing like challenging, okay? Do you ask for permission or beg for forgiveness?
Forgiveness.
If the toilet paper roll is really low but not completely out, do you replace it or leave it for someone else?
Leave it for my husband.
If you were really hungry, would you eat a bug?
No.
What's your favorite sandwich?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Really? I just had that the other day. Do you Instagram your or Facebook your food choices?
Both.
Yeah? Frequently?
I do.
Would you rather wake up to an air horn blowing in your ear every day or wake up and have to run 4 miles?
Okay, I'll go with air horn.
Would you go to the movies alone?
I would.
And finally, what is something you could eat for a week straight?
Pasta and bread and cheese. With wine.
Charcuterie board. That's all I need to survive. That's it.
Right?
Thank you so much for indulging us. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Is your week busy?
It is not busy. I was a travel agent for 18 years, and this is kind of one of my favorite times of the year because it gets relatively quiet once all of our clients start getting underway. And I typically don't take any time off this time of year because I like to be able to prep for the following year.
It tends to be a quiet year, so you almost think, gosh, this is the time where you get things done because not a lot of people are actually working. So, well, we're so happy that you guys are here today. And, you were part of Medallion Class development from the beginning. And we had such a great conversation the other day about this. Why do you feel like Medallion Class is important to the Princess clientele?
I think Medallion Class is important to the Princess clientele because it gives us a true opportunity to offer a more personalized experience at a premium price point. And I think that one of the things that Princess has always been known for has been the connection with our guests, right? We're really about the connection with the guests, the connection with the destination and the people that we visit. And I think that this gives us the opportunity to have enhanced connections with people, but to do it at scale and at a premium price point.
And what's the response when you say, oh gosh, some people just don't want to be connected like that during their trip? How do we make that distinction between needing to do it for some pre-trip information and then being able to say, my phone's now in my safe, I'm not using it for the rest of the trip?
Right, and I think that that's kind of one of the places we really need to come to as we're talking to our customers about Medallion Class, is that we need to lean more into the tech-enabled, more personalized interactions as opposed to tech-dependent. And hopefully now that we kind of are in a place where we understand the tech side of it a little bit better as advisors, we can start to change that narrative and make sure that our customers understand that this isn't about you having to have your phone all the time, right? It's not about you having to do these interactions only virtually. What it is about allowing those control freaks like me that want to have control of everything to have that power of personalization in the palm of my hand. It also frees up my crew members for the other people who don't want to.
Well, and that's a piece that we talked about the other day that I thought was fascinating, because we have been hearing about Medallion Class for years. We have had lots of people on doing webinars for agents. John's been on. No one has mentioned before how this benefits the crew. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I can. I think that now, keep in mind that I've been immersed in the medallion world for a very long time. So I want to know every single aspect of this. And one of the first questions that I asked when I had an opportunity to experience this on board, I asked my room steward, I said, so what does Medallion do for you as a crew member? How does Medallion benefit you? And he said, it gave me 30 minutes a day. And I thought, well, that's interesting. We all know these guys work such super long hours and they are so committed to the hospitality that they provide. But if we can give them 30 minutes a day because I've given him the power to plan his day, that's big. That is huge, to allow them the opportunity to stay connected at home.
Sorry there, guys. My slides are going all over the place here. The internet is kind of going in and out. I have a feeling that someone's making lunch upstairs, which is typically what happens when my internet starts going in and out. So you mentioned, LaDonna, are you frozen? There we go. There you are. You mentioned the crew members. I can't even imagine just that amount of time that they're given to even become more personalized for our guests. One of the things that is a possibility is chatting through this app. Can you explain that feature and how that benefits both the passenger and the crew?
It does a variety of different things. So there's two different pieces to this. There's crew call chat, which is where I can chat with guest relations. And this is super helpful for me. Again, I don't like standing in lines. I want to be able to have that conversation while I'm in the spa or while I'm doing something else in a beach chair, right? Sitting out by the pool. I no longer have to go stand in line at guest relations because I see something that's odd about my folio. I can talk to a crew member and just send this to them via chat and they can take care of it for me. I also have the ability to, kind of like the call button on an airplane, I can use crew call assistance and I can have someone come to me and they can help me live and in person. So it gives me the ability to have both of those interactions. And what it does for my mom that's on board that doesn't want to use her phone, she no longer has to wait in a line at guest relations because I've done my piece of it virtually. So I think that's one of the big pieces, is that we need to make sure that we understand that there are segments of our population on board the ship that wants to be in control of all that, wants to have things delivered to them on demand. It may be because they're like me and they just want to have control. It may be that they were older and they're part of that more vulnerable demographic during a pandemic. They've become acclimated to, used to ordering things on demand. So we just don't know, coming out of a pandemic, how is this going to change customer behavior?
Well, and let's talk about how just this all comes about with COVID, and how do you guys deal with the, you've got the crew, but now it seems like the crew has almost like more responsibility because of this personalization. How does that
Mhm.
weigh with a ship that's maybe 40 or 50% capacity? Totally see it working smoothly. What does that look like when the ship is at full capacity and you have guys that used to just kind of walk around the deck, but now have to like be super intentional because they've got a drink to deliver to Mr. Smith up there and Mrs. Jones down here. How does that all work staffing wise?
That is actually one of the silver linings of COVID, is that coming out of this, we are at reduced capacity, even naturally, right? You just don't have as many people willing to travel yet. And while we're bringing all of the ships online as all being Medallion class, it gives us the opportunity to work on that on the backside, understand, okay, looking at the demographics of who's on board the ship as of this particular date, we can then forecast out what the need is going to be, and we can change that on demand because now we have all of this working in the background. So say we need to shift crew members over to something else because there's more demand in a different place, we can do that in an instant, whereas before there was this lag time being able to get additional crew members to those different places. So this is giving us the opportunity to really be able to do an analysis of what is the demand going to be, what is the best way to respond to that dynamically, so that there is just an enhanced customer service all the time, everywhere on board the ship.
Wow. What has surprised you most about this technology?
I think what has surprised me most is how personalized it is in terms of what's important to you. So I think that the hardest part, being this Medallion class person on the sales team, is how do I articulate this experience? One, it's super tactile, right? It's different for every single person, but every single person relates to it in a different way. Maybe the most important part to you is being able to order something on demand. Maybe it's having your stateroom door open whenever you're walking up to the door. It's really interesting to see that for everyone, they have their favorite piece that they respond to in a different way. And I think that that's part of the overall genius in Medallion class, is that it allows us to really personalize those interactions down to the individual traveler.
With this sort of technology, there always has to be something that you kind of bang your head up against the wall and say, why can't we get this to work right? Or why can't we figure this out? Has there been anything like that over the last several years that you've been like, come on, why won't this work the way we want it to work?
There's been lots of moments like that. Those are the growing pains with any tech, right? But the nice piece about this is that we can change things dynamically. And as things don't work, we just dig in even harder, and we make sure that we have all hands on deck to really get it working to where we need it to be. But it also allows us to dynamically respond to what's going on in an ever evolving world that has just completely comprehensively changed post-pandemic. We know that the world that we live in today may not be the world we're going to wake up in tomorrow. That's the reality of the situation. And this tech-enabled high-touch interaction allows us to be able to respond to that in an instant.
Just I feel like I could ask more and more questions and we'd be here for days, but I just think it's a cool technology. I think it's timely because you have that personalized attention, and there's lots of touches, but they're not physical touches. And that is the world that we're kind of shifting in, is how to figure out how do we continue that personalized service without constantly physically touching someone. We're doing it in a different way. I would imagine that this technology lends itself to some interesting data that maybe you didn't have before on your clientele, and the likes and the preferences and things like that.
It's really interesting how the technology has evolved. There is that AI component, right, where it becomes smarter as you continue to travel with us. It starts to understand what those preferences are. And I personally am okay with getting recommendations that are personalized to me. You can send me any kind of spa deal any day, but I don't need 99 paper invitations to the art auction, right? I want things that are personalized to me.
Oh, see, now that makes a lot of sense, and that's something I can totally get on board with. Yes, I'm a fan of give me a thermal suite, doesn't matter where it is, that's my home for the next week. But you're right, I don't need to go to the
Absolutely.
art auction. I love it. LaDonna, thank you so much for being here. Before we let you go, would you please pick a number between 1 and 56? This is our final week of our giveaways for the month of December. What's your favorite number?
I'm going to choose 17.
17. Okay. Sam's on the line. Sam, if you could share with the kind of start counting down the list, and we'll have a winner by the end of the show. LaDonna, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for your time and for your Princess partnership. You guys are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do for us.
All right. Have a great week. Hopefully it's quiet. All
Thank
right, you
you.
guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too. You guys, our next two ladies, I kind of feel like they're like the Disney go-tos at KHM Travel Group. Please welcome Becky and Shaliece here. They are incredible resource for all things Disney, and they always take their time out of their busy days to share their knowledge and their expertise. They're a resource to all of us daily. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for being here. Um, you guys, where do we even start with this conversation?
Good question.
I had just figured out my, the way I operate with my Disney experience. I had it all down. I had all of my great documents. And, we love new technology. I like anything that's going to enhance an experience. So we've got Disney added Disney Genie, which is accessible to everyone. And there's also Genie Plus, which I think has thrown people a little bit through a loop. It's something new to learn. Can you share with our viewers and our listeners, how do these two things differ? Becky, let's start with you.
So first off, I think it's great that you have Shaliece on here. Shaliece and I probably will have different perspectives on this just because I'm an annual pass holder. So with annual pass holder, I think we see things a little bit differently than, and I have to put myself back into the mindset of when I'm talking with a client, they're not a pass holder. So my views on these systems and how they view it for their vacation is going to be totally different. So like Shaliece was just recently here on property, and you guys were staying on property, right, Shaliece?
Just off property.
Okay. But still, she was here, more so as a vacation or as a vacation. Whereas with me, when I pop over for a few hours or for a day, my planning can be totally different. And so I think that's great that you have both of us on here because we're probably going to have some different perspectives there. So basically, Genie, the differences in between Genie and Genie Plus, the Genie is complimentary. Everybody can access that. I even, when I was waiting, I was pulling it up, just looking, even though I don't have a park reservation, I was pulling up and just kind of scrolling through. But Genie is included. Genie Plus is $15 per day per person. One thing to keep in mind there, when you are paying for Genie Plus, if you guys are including that for the package, it has to be paid fully for like their whole time that they're there. If you don't include it in the package, they can purchase it day by day. So that is like a huge thing to keep in mind because that could come into play probably in some conversation. We'll probably get a little bit more in depth on that.
Okay, so the Genie I get because it's supposed to be where you start to put in your preferences and kind of help guide your day, right?
Right.
If I decide to do this Genie Plus, I've paid the extra money. My understanding is I get lightning lanes. How does it work, Shaliece? And on your trip, did it work?
Yeah, it worked great. But one thing to keep in mind is yes, it gives you lightning lanes, but every single park has 2 rides that are not included in this Genie Plus. They're an a la carte. That's the easiest way to describe it. They're a la carte, and you can add those on individually at a separate cost. But for me, it was great because, like Becky said, I'm there on vacation. I've only got like a couple days, and I want to get every ride in that I possibly can. And so being able to make a lightning lane at 7 a.m. and be able to know that I can walk on that ride between 11 and noon, and then in that time beforehand, I'm running and doing other rides and then making my next lightning lane pass as soon as it was available. So for me, it was great, but I also had the mentality I'm going to get as much out of this as I can, and not a laid back, relaxed. It was not relaxed at all.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, I would imagine, Becky, since you're an annual pass holder, and I love when you say pop over for a few hours, maybe you actually relax when you go. I have never relaxed. I get there and I'm like, let's go. We don't need bathroom breaks. Stop drinking water. We can make it. Like, I am a force. So I would be like you. I'd be like, okay, we're doing the best. What are some of the challenges with this that you've heard that agents need to be aware of so they can guide their clients?
It's new. It's still new. I actually was looking at my pictures because I took screenshots of everything I did, and I was there 2 months ago today. And so it was the very first week that it had opened. So it's new. Disney is not known to be super strong when it comes to technology. So there's going to be glitches. And so letting your clients know that there could be hiccups along the way. And if there are, they've got guest services set up with little kiosks throughout the parks. And so I highly encourage them to go talk to guest services, because once they're booked and there's issues within the app, there's nothing we can do for them. They have to go through guest services. And so I let them know where locations are in Disney Springs and the different parks. And then now they've got these little pop-up kiosks, and you have to just kind of be patient with it. And, it's still new. They're still working out the kinks.
From your client's perspective, do you feel like your clients are getting their money's worth? They're getting something additional that they weren't getting before?
Not necessarily. Honestly, not really. Most of my clients that have used it so far went over Thanksgiving break. And I've got a couple going now and right at the new year. But really, no. Just they don't want to stand in lines, in those standby lines. And so that's really all they're doing. I have mixed feelings about Genie Plus, because I feel like growing up as a huge Disney fan, half the fun was just being able to run and go and enjoy the spontaneity. And I feel like that's kind of gone with all this planning that you have to do. And some people don't want to do that. That takes away magic for them. Other people want it laid out for them. I don't know that Disney Genie Plus is something that you want a newbie trying to figure out, because it is a little bit, there's some nuances to it.
Becky, do you agree?
I totally agree. And we've had, and those of us that either love Disney or, sell Disney, we've talked about it a lot. It just started, I think October. So it's still fairly new. And my personal opinion, I actually commented this the other day, I don't think the overall system is complex. I think it's a pretty simple system, but we've made it complex because people are paying out of pocket. So if you are paying for something you're paying extra money for, you want to squeeze every bit out of it, you know, so that's where the complexity comes in. So it's just, we're over planning because you've sent the money, so you're going to get your money's worth. So that's my view on it. It just, you know, like I said, it's not a complex system, but it's just, you know, when you have that strategy involved, okay, when can I get the next one? And when should I go in? When should, you know, at 7 a.m., the mom on vacation is on her phone trying to plan this. And then the whole time she's at the park, she's got her little kids with her.
Yes.
She's got her husband with her. She's on her phone. She's trying to plan. So like I said, I have to put my mindset into the client's point of view. And for some people, they're fine with that. But some people, it will overwhelm them. They might end up, if it's a slow time, they might end up actually purchasing things that they don't really need to purchase, but they feel stressed. They feel like, oh gosh, I've got to get this. You know, so it's just, it's very stressful. Like I said, I went through the app earlier before we even came on early this afternoon. And I kind of jotted down because I was taking notes. There were no lightning lanes. I went through each park. There was no lightning lane is where you go in and pay individually for a ride. So say like when we were there last week on a Tuesday night, not peak time at all. And it was like Space Mountain, I think it was $9 or $10 a person to get on that ride. And it wasn't even high peak. So as of like this afternoon, now we're into our peak time and there's no lightning lanes. You couldn't, even if you have purchased Genie, Rise wasn't available, Remy's not available, Toy Story Mania is not available. So if you didn't get in there and get it early this morning, even if you purchased Genie, you're just completely out. Like, so it's stressful, you know, I just have to keep that in mind. So for some people, it might work. Other people, it's just going to stress them out, you know, and I'm like, nobody wants to leave Disney all stressed out. You know, that's not what it's about.
Well, and I know when I used to go in and like do the fast passes for clients or even for myself, right? I knew I could pick 3 and there were times. And so I could kind of plan my route. This doesn't allow me to do that because I'm getting one at a time. And that's the challenge that I have is, okay, I've done that. Now what? You know, I don't have this plan of attack, which allowed me to not be stressed while there because I knew now we go to the left, now we go to the right, now we're going here, now we're going there. There was this plan, whereas if I don't have those in place, I don't really know what to do next until I look at my phone and see what's available. And so there's that added piece.
Well, if it makes you feel better, you get a lot of steps in because you're going back and forth across the park the entire day. Because you would normally plan, well, okay, I'm going to do, you know, Thunder Mountain. Next, I'll do Splash Mountain. And because you're, you know, right by everything. But as it is, you're hopping from one end of the park to the next, you know, based on availability and wait times. And so, yeah, it definitely changes your experience for sure.
I think this is going to be so interesting to watch in the coming months because I think it's going to get better. It's going to get easier. And you guys, you know, they had this system in Disneyland and I used it. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it because it was different. Yes, Max Pass. It worked so well. So well. And loved it. I felt it was worth every single dime. And so I'm hoping that we get to that point where this becomes something that we're used to and that we can say, yes, this is how it works and this is how to maximize it. It looks like we've got a couple of questions from our audience. Do you guys mind answering them?
Sure.
Okay. So, do you feel that Genie Plus would be beneficial for a family of 12 or would it hinder them? That's a great question.
That is a good question. I had a group about that size go over Thanksgiving, and they loved it. They loved it. Yep, because
what
they
did you love about it?
Well, because you've got multiple people that can be. You're all connected in your friends and family list, or they should be. And with that, you've got multiple people that can get on there and try to get the passes. You know, they may not have had everybody go because there were kids that may have been too small to ride certain rides, but they loved it, being able to make those, you know, reservations or lightning lanes for the different rides. They had no complaints. They were really grateful they did it. I got a private Zoom with them and shared screenshots and talked them through the entire thing. So they loved it.
So that oh, sorry, go ahead, Becky.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think what comes into play too when you're deciding if it's good for any family, a larger family, or even the family of four, peak and off peak, I think plays a huge part in what you decide to do with Genie or Genie Plus. If it's peak, as we were talking, you know, if I was there this afternoon, I would not be able to go in and just purchase Lightning Lane if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're in peak season. So I think that plays a huge part of it.
What do you guys think as far as for agents to get training on this and to learn more? I mean, we'd all love to pop down there and go into the parks and give this all a whirl, but that's just not feasible for most people. How do you educate yourself better in order to better be able to explain the pluses and minuses to this?
I mean, we've done Zooms trying to help one another. Those of us that have been have tried to help talk through, you know, how the process is and what it's like so that those that can't sit down there have a little bit of an understanding. We did do some webinars and you can pull those up and look at them. I know that there's resources online that people have used and found on YouTube that have been helpful. But I'm the type of person that I need that firsthand experience. I need to get my hands in, get dirty, and figure it out. And so I was really grateful that their start date aligned with when I was going to be there. So I was like, I'm paying for it. I don't care how much it is. I need to figure this out and then determine if it's worth sharing with my clients and then educating them on that. So
I would say too, pull up the app, because you can pull up the information in the app and just play around with it. And that is what I also suggest, you know, that we tell our clients as well. Like, make sure you have the app and you get in there and just play around with it before you go and you get yourself really comfortable with it. So I think that's really important as well. And I think as you kind of scroll through, it'll make a little bit more, you know, sense. But I'm hands-on as well. You know, until I went and just was there pulling things up. And it was funny because I had my daughter and her friend, they're almost 21, and my husband, who is, you know, is my age. So, and it was funny because I was always scrolling through, my daughter and her friend, who are, like I said, are, you know, almost 21, they were both like, nobody our age is going to do this. And then my husband's like, well, I don't understand any of it, so I'm definitely not going to do this, you know? So I'm like, you know, so it was kind of like a pointless kind of, you know, lesson that I was trying to give them because nobody was interested. They literally were like, we don't even want to look at it anymore, you know? And so I was like, that's an interesting point of view, especially with the younger kids. You know, I was like, okay. So I think it's just a learning curve of figuring out who, you know, who this would be good for. It's not going to be good for everyone. For some people, it's going to totally stress them out. And other people, they might be, you know, all into that. And like, I'm a planner, so I love it, you know, getting in there and planning. I don't love the extra cost involved. I will say we've kind of, you know, talked a little bit bad about it mostly this session. But one thing that I absolutely love is that it's easier to see the ride wait times. So when you pull it up, the ride wait, and like I said, you know, anybody can go on their app right now and pull that up and see the wait times. So that is a lot easier. And especially Space Mountain goes down all the time, you know, so you can go in there and see that it's closed before you do make that trek across the park for Space Mountain. But you can pull up those wait times very, very easy. So I love that.
You too. Yep.
Ladies, I love the pros and cons, and I think this is one of those things that it's so new that it's a little frightening. I just have 2 sets of families coming back this week, and I've sent them like, hey, would love to chat. But I'm like I just want it to go so well that I'm afraid to hear, you know, I only like positive feedback. I don't want to hear the negative stuff. So I'm really interested to hear what they have to say. And I think we can only grow from that, right? If I didn't tell them something that maybe I should have told them or whatever, I think we can just grow from the information that we have. But I think I'm kind of with you guys that 2022, I feel like there's a Disney trip that needs to be organized so that we can all learn about this system a little bit better. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
I'm totally up for a KHM fam, and I'll be right there with you guys.
Down.
Anytime any of our agents are down, they can always send me a message, and if I'm free, I'll go over there and pop.
Yep,
I
that's awesome.
love to pop into the parks. So
I will tell you guys, one of the things that I think is amazing that's come out of the last couple of years is mobile dining, like the ordering. It is like my favorite thing in the world. I think it's so efficient. I feel like it should have been done years ago. There's no lines if you do it right. I just think it's one of those tools that, oh gosh, I just love it. So I'm hopeful that, we get to the point where we're all comfortable with Genie Plus, because it worked well in Disneyland. I know it's going to work well. We just all have to figure it out, right? Figure it out. It's different working with it in a conference room of 12 people than with 12,000 people in a park. So you guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy family. And thank you so much for your time and your talent. You're both incredible resources, and we're lucky to have you.
thank you. You guys have a Merry Christmas.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, you guys, our last segment of 2021. I am sharing with you some of my favorite family gifts. If you have not shopped yet, there is still time, and I'm going to share with you some of my favorite things. My family is all about games. We play games morning, noon, and night when everyone is in town. We even do that as just the four of us as well. So I'm going to share with you some of my favorites that you can still get if you haven't already. All right, number one, cover your assets. It sounds a little bit like it's going to be a dirty game. It is not. It is all about, it's a card game, and it's all about like actual assets like gold and houses and jewelry and things like that. So super fun game. It's all about just creating pairs, and the age is like, I think my nephews played this at age 7 and up, but I think a 6-year-old can actually play it as well. So this is an amazing game. And then there's another game that kind of goes along with it by the same developers called Goat Lords. It's the same concept, and it's really, really fun. So these are two games that you guys can grab. My other favorite, and my kids hate it because it's the game that I always say, oh, let's play Uno Flip, right? We all love the original game. This one's a little bit more challenging. I love it. It goes with me wherever I go. Now we get into the harder games. All right. Ticket to Ride. Takes a little bit more skill. 90% of the time I lose, but it's still super fun. It's made by a German company, and Germans make really great board games. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it's a thing that like they really love. And this one's super, super fun. They've got it in a couple different versions, but I like the original. Very, very fun. A little bit more challenging for little ones, but for adult kiddos, very fun. And then I will tell you, we never leave home without our Rummy Cube. This goes everywhere. We don't have to bring the box. It all fits into a nice little carrying case. But we play this game everywhere. I don't know what the age is for it. Oh, it says 8 to adult. I think we started training the kids as young as 7 to try and play that. Super fun for everyone. And then the final one. This just entered my house this week. It is by the same developers of Goat Lords and Cover Your Assets. It's called Throw Burrito, and they were playing it upstairs while I was working the other day. You can just imagine a dodgeball card game. Guys, I'm going to come on the show January 5th and tell you that something broke in my house over the holidays. With 17 people coming for Christmas and this in my house, really? Dodgeball card game. So, and they're little soft burritos. They're adorable though. But I know it's going to be fun. It's just like these card games. You're finding pairs, you're finding threes, things like that. But age 7 and up, total party game. It's going to be crazy, and I can't wait to share with you on January 5th what broke in my house over the holidays playing this game. You guys, it has been an incredible year with all of you. I can't thank you enough for your support, your time and attention, both on live, on YouTube after the fact, and of course on our podcast. It's just been amazing. Thank you to all of our guests today. This is a busy week for everyone, and we thank them for their time. We thank Apple Leisure Group, and of course all of our segment sponsors over the last year. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Be on the lookout for some news and information on how we're going to be doing the show January 5th. We're supposed to be switching to a new platform, but we want to make it sure that it works correctly before we do that. So you might see a notice that says that we will be back on GoToMeeting in the new year, at least for the first month or so. So stay tuned for that information. And you guys, January 5th is our 50th episode. Can't wait to share our guest with you. And Happy New Year, you guys. Thanks so much. Merry Christmas. Mwah.